Welcome back to A Trip to the Video Store. As always, this is your host, Jeremy Campbell, recording live from the studio apartment in Euless, Texas. And since I am recording this episode, that must mean one thing. Craven's asleep, taking a nap. Don't have a lot of time, so let's get right to it. This is the 6 reasons why you should watch The Lost Boys this summer. 6 reasons why this is a perfect summertime horror film. Here we go. Number 6 is the Frog Brothers. These kids are so freaking cool. They run a comic book store by day for their burned out hippie parents, but by night they hunt vampires.
Damn, these guys are brutal killers.
So are the Frog Brothers.
Check me.
Look, who would you rather go?
But at the same time, they're scared shitless when they actually are forced to encounter a real vampire. It makes for a great scene, and these are hilarious, awesome characters. And I think
State.
What was that? A little vampire humor? Or was it funny? No, don't even!
Good night, bloodsucker.
No!
Number 5, the soundtrack. The movie is loaded with great music.
When you're strange, faces come out of the rain. Say hello to the night, lost in the loneliness.
It blends with the theme perfectly. The song Cry Little Sister is so cool that Corey Feldman himself could not ruin it. And trust me, he tried. It's like Tommy Wiseau from The Room started a band.
You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
Do your thing, you creepy bastard. The song must be in the public domain though, because everybody, I swear, has covered it at some point. The number 4 reason to watch The Lost Boys is the atmosphere. This movie is rich with amazing sets. It's really a stunning looking movie. The basic idea of the location is cool. I mean, really, a tribe of teen vampires that live in a cave that is an old hotel that sunk into the ground after a massive earthquake. Even the Frog Brothers have a cool headquarters, a comic book store, and all the locations are really photographed very well. Just one stunning location after the next, and they all work so very well to serve the story. It's really impressive. Number 3, humor. But this humor doesn't call attention to itself, like let's say a movie like Hatchet, where the humor is very slapstick. And is constantly calling attention to itself and saying, hey, look at me, I'm being funny. This humor is very in line with, say, Die Hard. It comes from the characters reacting to the extreme situations they find themselves in. The humor blends itself in with the horror and gives the audience a chance to laugh at itself for being so scared. It puts you right there with the characters. The characters never look directly at the camera and wink. It's the characters reacting the same way that the audience is reacting to the scene. So the humor works really well and makes for a good blend.
Creature of the night, Michael. just like out of a comic book. You're a vampire, Michael. My own brother, a goddamn shit-sucking vampire. Oh, you wait till Mom finds out, buddy.
For two reasons, it sounds kind of generic, but the 80s. Like, I'm personally not the world's biggest fan of the 80s, but the best parts of the 80s really seem to exist in this movie. Like, this was like the fantasy of what it would have been like to be a teenager in the 80s. The cool beachside town, the music, the fashion. I mean, even, okay, I gotta give it up, the video store. A lot of this movie, without wanting to spoil any plots, kind of has a little something to do with the video store. So that's really super cool in the 80s in and of itself. So it's a lot of fun, and it's just dripping with 80s humor and fun, and I really highly suggest it for that reason. If you are somebody who's super nihilistic and thinks the 80s suck, and you don't want humor in your horror film, and you don't like atmosphere, and then by all means don't watch this movie. But if you do enjoy entertainment, and then this is the movie for you. Number one reason why you should check out The Lost Boys if you haven't already. The vampires. The vampires seems like a simple reason, right? But anyways, so these vampires, though, they have all the romance and sex appeal of classic Dracula, but the animalistic brutality that makes them scary. Add to that the amazing 80s fashion, the motorcycles, and teen angst, and you have some badass, super cool vampires. So put it all together, you got a really awesome cast of characters set in a great location with fantastic music, working together as a time capsule for the era that it's existing in. It's got humor but never calls attention to itself, and the villains are fun but still scary. They're sexy but they're brutal. Frankly, if you ask me and you put it all together, you have a damn near perfect film. I think it is a perfect film for what it is. As far as teen-friendly horror films go, this is honestly probably as good as it's ever going to get. I mean, it's really fantastic. It goes great with summertime, and just like Silver Bullet before, I highly suggest getting a big group of friends together, having a horror movie watching party, and putting in The Lost Boys. Either way, get some friends together. If they haven't seen it before, show it to them. It's a great movie, it's a great time, and I highly suggest it. So there you have it, the 6 reasons why you should be watching The Lost Boys. Please come back to our next episode we're working on. Next time we're going to be taking a trip down the action aisle, where I'll be checking out Brandon Lee's underrated action classic, Rapid Fire, because to me, the other thing that goes hand in hand with summertime along with horror films is action films. And not just action films, but that perfect little window of time called the late 80s into the early 90s, when we had Steven Seagal, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Brandon Lee, and all these other guys kicking ass and taking names. So in the meantime, this is Jeremy saying be kind, rewind. Later, guys.